the great Larry Bowa. We appreciate you coming up here, spending some time with us today, my friend.
LB.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
How we
Everything's
doing?
good so far.
So can you tell, it's early, right? Can you tell how a season's going to go in some way based on not the performance of the players, but I guess the attitude of the players in spring training?
Yeah, I think we can. I think you can judge people. Last year in particular, these guys were very upset about losing, and this year it's even worse. The last 2 years, nothing against the Mets, nothing against Arizona. Those are two teams that, on paper, I know you don't win games on paper. You have to beat those two teams, and we didn't do it. There's no excuse for it. We didn't play good. We didn't pitch good. And when you get in the playoffs, you got to execute. You're not winning 8-7 or 2-1, 3-2 games, and we came up short both years. And I think this year, these guys know that window is not going to be open a long, long time. And it's a good team. There's all-stars almost at every position. Pitching's solid. We got to quit talking about it and do it. We can sit here and talk about, oh, we should have, could have. We got to go out and do it. We got to go deep into the playoffs. If we don't go deep into the playoffs, I consider that a bad year.
What do you think? It seems like the players said, right around the middle of June, for the rest of the year, team was pretty much 500-ish, below 500. And they talked about sort of losing whatever it was at the beginning of the year and not being able to find it back. Like, what do you think happened? And do you think how, when a team loses it the way they did and the way that they came out, how do you go about finding that?
I think each guy's got to take a look in the mirror, to be honest with you. You got to evaluate. We can point fingers at missed calls or we didn't get a break. When you get in the playoffs, you got to make your own breaks, and we haven't done that. The talent is there to do it, but like I said, you can't talk about it all the time. You got to go out and do it, and we've done enough talking, I think. I like this makeup of this team. I like the manager. I like the coaches. I love the rotation. It's a real deep rotation. We have a tendency sometimes to play down to people we're playing. You can't do that. I don't care who you're playing. You got to go out there every night and leave it out there. Whether you're playing Colorado or whether you're playing the Dodgers, the mindset's got to be, what can we do to beat this team tonight? And for some reason, it seems like the second half we sort of played down to our opposition. You can't do that. And all of a sudden now you're in the playoffs and you think that switch is going to go on. It doesn't go on. You got to keep that momentum going. And, again, we haven't done that.
As a player, as a manager, how do you sort of balance or navigate the length of the season, right? The guys, they start off hot, they play well early, and then eventually people will say, well, it's still early, you got to be able to do it late. But, I mean, as a player, as a manager, you want to get off to a hot start, right? You don't want to get off to a slow start. But at the same time, you want to be playing your best baseball late in the season.
No question. And to me, we can sit here and talk about how long the season is. This is a grind. Mm-hmm. It's a grind to play 162 games. And to me, the physical ability's there. Mentally, you got to say, hey, man, when you're training in November and December and January, you're not training for opening day until the All-Star break. You're training from the first pitch, and hopefully you're the last team standing. And it's a grind. And you got to be mentally tough to play this game. And I just think we've had spurts where things haven't gone right, and that's when you got to dig deep down. You got to get in there and dig and find a way. You got to find a way to do it. And there's, like I said, if we only had 2 or 3 guys that were real good, that's a good lineup. That's deep. Like I said, we got all-stars everywhere. But I'm looking for more consistency. Game 1 through, I don't even want to say game 162. I want to say through the playoffs.
Yeah. And
until we do that, hopefully we don't have to go through what we did the last 2 years. It makes it for a long winter. You sit down, man, how'd we get eliminated so quick? Too much talent, way too much.
It's a WIP afternoon show. We're in Clearwater. Larry Bowa with us now here at Philly Spring Training. You, fiery as a player, fiery as a manager. when we now we don't see what's in the clubhouse, right? But when we watch the Phillies, it seems like it is a sort of comfortable, laid-back bunch. They get along. They support each other. Do you think that there is somebody there, and do you think a team needs somebody or a couple of somebodies to be sort of that wild card or a hothead or somebody to shake things up every once in a while?
I think they have the people in that club. I really do. Schwarber's a great leader.
Yep.
JT, Harp. I mean, we can sit there and say we need somebody. I mean, John Middleton, I don't know much more what he can do.
Right.
He's given the city, he's given the Phillies a great talent out there. I don't believe that we need a guy in there to stir it up. I think guys got to take it within themselves to say, hey, this is unacceptable the way this stuff's ended.
Yeah.
And I do hear guys talk about how disappointed they were, which to me that's a good sign.
Yeah.
I get tired of hearing just flush it away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even playing. I can't flush it away. I'm not even playing. I'm looking back at last year and the year before, and I'm going, man, this shouldn't how this should end. I think mentally they know they got to get to another place.
Jack's out there shooting hot dogs at us, LB.
Oh, yeah. They stole Jack, and he's riding around with the Fanatics shooting hot dogs.
Today's not a good day to pitch. That wind's howling out there right now.
Yeah.
No, I think we have the ingredients to win. I really do. I love our pitching staff. I really do. And Luzardo, I think Dave did a great job getting him. This guy's lights out. Sanchez is pitching like a 1. Wheeler had a bad outing today, but he's been pitching lights out. Nola, we know. Ranger, there's 5 good starters. Then we got Walker who's throwing the ball well. So you're never going to go through the season with 5 pitchers. I mean, you'd like to.
Yep.
You always end up using 8, 9, maybe 10 through the course of the season. So the depth's there, the bullpen's there. Like I said, we got to go out and do it.
Let me ask you about Bryson Stott. A couple years ago, man, he looked like he was on a trajectory. He could be an all-star second baseman type of player, top of your lineup type of hitter. A little bit of a step back last year. Would you believe, though, the talent is still there and he can get back to being where he was a couple years ago?
Without a doubt. I mean, I think he's going to have a real good year. People, I know you've read some articles where his elbow was messed up a little bit. And when you play every day, he goes out there, he posts every day. So what happens is you get into some bad habits to protect the pain you have in the arm. And I think he developed some bad habits at the plate. He's swinging the bat good down here. I expect him to have a big-time bounce-back year. He's my pick to click as far as rebounding. I like the way he's going about his business right now. But I think it was an off year for him, and he'll be the first to tell you he wasn't satisfied with the way the year went last year, especially offensively.
Larry Bowa with us here at Philly Spring Training in Clearwater. Let's stay in the middle of the infield with Trea. So, both defensively and offensively. Trea mentioned that he thought he had an improvement last year defensively, and there's still more there. So I guess a two-part question. First, do you feel like there's still more is there for Trea as a shortstop defensively? And do you think him moving to the leadoff spot will be good for him as a hitter? It seems like occasionally he gets a little home run happy, and he can't be that way as the leadoff hitter. So defensively and offensively, what are you looking for from Trea this year?
In answer to defensively, I think there are definitely more there.
Yep.
I will say this, not to protect Trea or anything. I think the fielding stats are the most flawed stats in baseball. There's 3 different categories out there. And I look at some of these guys that are ranked ahead of certain guys on our team, and I scratch my head. And I don't even look at that stuff defensively. But he's definitely improved over when we first got him. Offensively, I think he could hit anywhere in the lineup. First, second, third. He's a force offensively. If he bats leadoff, his goal should be, I want to score 100 runs. Forget everything else. If he scores 100 runs and bats first, we're going to win a lot of games. You hit him second, I think he's got a real good chance of being a very good second hitter. You could hit him third. He's that kind of athlete. I do expect him to steal more. I know last year he shut it down a little bit because he pulled his hamstring. He was afraid he was going to hurt it again. We need him to be active on the base paths. He's very capable of stealing 50 or 60 bases, especially with the new rules. Throwing over there twice, if you don't get him the third time, it's a balk. I think he could create a lot of havoc on the bases. He's an MVP-type player. We got him. We got Harper, that MVP-type players. Schwarber. That's what I'm saying. If you go right around that field, you scratch your head when you say, man, we shouldn't be home that early. And, again, I hope that last year left a scar on these guys' minds a little bit, and they're ready to go. I feel the atmosphere is a little different. They talk about it a little bit more. But, again, we can talk about it all we want. We got to go out and do it.
You mentioned, a Trea could hit first, second, third. There's been a lot of talk in the offseason, at least in the media, about the lineup and where guys are hitting. Does it matter as a hitter where you are? It seems important for some of the guys to hit in certain spots. How much does it matter for a hitter where you're hitting, if you're hitting second or fifth or wherever you are?
I think it matters, knowing where you're going to hit every day, who's hitting in front of you, who's hitting behind you, how pitchers are going to dictate getting to you. I mean, if Trea's on base a lot, obviously pitchers don't want him stealing. Hitters probably get more fastballs to hit.
Yep.
Afraid to throw breaking balls because if it goes in the dirt, he's going to be down there. I think it's important. And guys like to hit a certain place in the lineup. They like to know, hey, I'm hitting second or I'm hitting first. People talk about, well, you got to move Schwarber out of the one hole. I mean, we've won a lot of games with Schwarber batting first.
Right.
And I don't know what Thompson's going to do. I know he's experimenting. I mean, today he's got Schwarber hitting fourth. He had Trea leading off and Harp hitting second. There's a lot of flexibility in that lineup. That's another good sign. You can back at these guys anywhere you want. It's a potent lineup, 1 through 9.
How does, as a manager, how do you weigh in your mind, I think that it's best for the team if player X is hitting here, but he's more comfortable hitting over here? How do you go about figuring that jigsaw puzzle out? I
think we have veteran players out there that if you called him in, and Thompson's great at communicating. He doesn't leave anybody hanging. He tells you exactly what he's thinking. I think whatever lineup he decides to go with, and he calls player X in and says, here, we're doing this year, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I really don't. Maybe you might have a little feedback, but the way he communicates with his players, as long as they know where they're hitting, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I really don't.
So just a couple things on pitching, because the two guys you mentioned were the two guys I wanted to ask about, Chris Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo. This is the first year we're seeing Luzardo. So Jack Fritz, who's out shooting hot dogs at the Fanatic right now, was very excited about him and his stuff and his potential. And it seems like he's thrown great this year. If you're a Phillies fan who has never seen Jesus Luzardo, what can they expect to see from him? What kind of pitcher is he?
He's legit. He's top of the order rotation guy. He might be the fourth or fifth starter, but he's top of the rotation stuff-wise. He was throwing 97 the other day with an unbelievable breaking ball. Great command, good athlete, feels his position. That was a great trade that we made. If he's healthy, the whole thing with our pitching, we got to be healthy. And I don't think you're going to get 5 starters, like I said earlier, all year. If they go on the IL once for 2 weeks, not a big deal. We got to keep those guys off the IL for 6 to 8 weeks. But Luzardo, he could be a 1, 2, or 3 in any rotation. And the way he's throwing down here, I was shocked at his velocity. It was 897. Sanchez the other day was 97. Sanchez, again, this guy's come out of nowhere. Walker's throwing the ball good. And we know what Nola and Wheels can do. Ranger, this is his walk year. As you guys know, when a guy has a walk year, for some reason they have a tendency to turn it up a notch.
For some reason, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I wonder what that is.
It's that green stuff. So, But I expect those, barring injuries, those 5 guys, I don't see anybody better. I know people talk about the Dodgers. They got all that depth. I'll take these 5 starters over a lot of teams in baseball.
Well, I mean, you're talking about top of the rotation guys. Just taking the first half we saw from Ranger last year, what we know we've seen out of Sanchez, what you said about Luzardo, what we know we've seen out of Wheeler and Nola, we're talking about 5 guys who are 1 or 2 starters.
They are.
And
they're not 4 or 5s.
No.
All of them could pitch 1 or 2 at a rotation, especially if they're off this bulk. If they're not on the Phillies, they'd be top of the rotation. To me, that's a big strength for us, our starting pitching. Now, on the other side of the coin, we got sinker ball pitchers, except for Wheeler probably. We got to catch the ball.
Yeah.
We got to make plays that are outs. We can't give teams 32, 33 outs a game. That's not going to get it. And we're really stressing pitching and defense. We know guys are going to hit. There's guys on that team that are going to hit. But we need the pitching and defense. I think that should be our mantra as we continue on in 2025 here.
Well, I got one question for you, LB. Golf swing. Have you got a chance to work on it down here?
Yeah,
let me
this
tell
is
you
important.
something. I don't know where my golf swing went.
Oh, no.
I was on top of my game last year. I said, damn.
Yeah.
This year, I might have to go down in AAA or AA and work on my game a little bit. It was bad. It was really bad. I mean, everyone's talking about it every time I get up. Don't forget about that hole-in-one. I said, I'm just trying to find this ball right now.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you it's better than my golf swing, so I ain't worried about that.
The only thing is now I take it with a grain of salt. I used to get mad. That game's too hard.
Right?
Go out and have fun, man.
Well, I'll be honest. You're the beginning of this when you said these guys are, for lack of a better word, pissed off and they know what happened last year. It's a good sign, because when we were down here last year, I think we felt from them the importance of getting off to a hot start, and they felt offended by what happened the year before, and them bringing that into this year. Maybe not the hot start as much as, it's like do or die.
It is.
For these guys.
It reminds me a lot of our team, 76, 77, 78. We were winning. We kept coming up short against the Big Red Machine and the Dodgers. And I remember it like it was yesterday that Rudy Carpenter got the core guys together, and he was a great owner. And he loved every one of us, and he said if we don't go deep this year, he's going to have to break this team up. Now, that hasn't happened here, but he sort of got our attention before we took the field in 80. And that was on our mind the whole year, because we came up together. We learned how to win together, we learned how to lose together, but we kept coming up short. And he basically said if we don't go deep, he's going to break this team up. And I'm not saying that motivated us, but it was on our mind. And I think these guys are thinking about the last 3 years. I'll give you the first year. Houston,
right.
I think Houston was a better team than us.
Yep.
But the last two, I can't believe those two teams were better than us.
Yep.
Well, we appreciate you, man. We're looking forward to the season. And, this is a team that's been World Series, LCS, this
I'm going to be disappointed if this team don't go deep.
There we go.
Really. And I like every one of those guys. I respect every one of them. And I think they'll be the first to tell you if we don't go deep, they're going to be very disappointed. So hopefully we can get this thing going and follow the Eagles down Broad Street.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
I wouldn't mind 2 parades in 1 year, my friend.
Well, in 80, we had all 4 teams go to the finals. Finally, the Phillies won. Hopefully the Eagles are setting the precedent now, and we can follow down Broad Street with them.
And most important,
the Sixers will not be following.
No, probably not. Not this year. Well, most importantly, good luck on the golf swing. We hope you find us.
I'll sacrifice the golf swing for another parade down
there.
there.
See, that's a team guy right there. That's a team guy. We thank you so much for joining us, Larry.
Enjoy the weather down here.
We will. I promise you we will. There he is, Larry Bowa. We are at Philly Spring Training down here in Clearwater.